Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Miriam and I talk about all kinds of quilting and sewing related things here on YouTube. If you saw my video last week, I have been working on my last minute Christmas quilt. I am making a beautiful Christmas version of my tiny checkers quilt pattern. If you're interested in that quilt pattern, I will link it in the description box below. I talked a lot about it in the last video, so I won't talk about it too much in this one. If you want to watch the first part of this video where I'm showing how I'm doing the first part of the quilt, I'll link it up here in the card area. A little video will pop up, or I'll also have that link down in the description box so you can watch that. The last thing that we did in the last video was I showed you how to do chain piecing. I have gone through and I've done all of my chain piecing for my blocks. So I've got a super long chain of blocks. So now what I am going to do is I am going to find the middle of this really long string of blocks and I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to sew blocks together to create these blocks. My chain piecing was, oh goodness, where did the end go? Oh no. Okay, here it is. So what I did was I took two strips of squares and sewed them together. So I've got a bunch of halves of this block. Then I'll be making these very cute. I've got, for this quilt, we're doing half of the blocks are going to look like this, which are like a light gray and a dark green, and the other half are red ones that I've already got made. And then they'll be placed kind of in a checkerboard pattern to make a really beautiful modern Christmas quilt. Let's see. First, I am going to find the center of this. So I need to stand up and get that figured out here. This video is very much laid back. It's not a super structured tutorial like I usually do. So this was really fun to do the first part of this project. I think the easiest way to find the middle is actually going to be to get both ends and put them together. So I've got the first end, I'm going to lay that over here. And then I'm going to find the first one that I did. Oh goodness, what a mess. Oh, I found it. Haha. This is very long. Okay, so I found the other end. So I'm going to take these two ends and I'm just going to put them together like that. And then I'm just going to find the middle. I know it looks a little crazy, but I know exactly what I'm doing. At least I'm acting like I do, right? There we go. There is my middle string right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that. Sorry, my nose is itchy. Now I have two long pieces basically, and I'm going to leave it like this for now because now I am going to open these. So I'm going to open this one, looks like that. And then I'm going to open this one. Hold on, Kimmy's crying at the door. Do you want to come say hi? No, you can't lay on those. Say hello, hello. She's mad at me. I didn't let her get on the fabric, but okay. So we've got our two ends here. If I open this one, it looks like that. And I open this one, it looks like that. And then if we put them together, it creates one block, right? So then I'm going to just put these right sides together and I am going to sew along here. And then when I get to the next section, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Open them up, put them right sides together, and so on and so forth all the way down. And then all of my blocks will be chain pieced. So they'll all be in one long chain like before. And then we snip them. And then I can press them and then they'll be done. So this helps, chain piecing helps with saving time. It really does save quite a bit of time cutting and putting things together. It saves time. So I am going to start sewing these together. And then once these are done, I just give them a quick press because everything's already pressed very nicely from previous steps. And then I just need to do a quick press to press these seams that I'm putting in now, and then I could start sewing my rows together. So, oh my goodness, if you could see this. Hold on, let me get my camera here so you can see what I'm working with here. So, hey, that's my finished tiny checkers quilt that I made before. So that's what it's gonna look like. It's just gonna be red and green. But anyways, here's my end. This is my first one that I'm gonna sew. And then I've just got this long string. Whoop. Long string of, and then there's the pile. Yes, I have a random mannequin. I don't know. I just needed to buy it one time and I did. So I'm sure you've been there before. But anyways, so we've just got this really long string of pieces and it's all together. We're just trying to move it so it's not gonna get all tangled or confusing. So I'm gonna move it over there. I'm moving the pile over there so it's to the right of my sewing machine here. So we're gonna get started. Oh, Kimmy is there, I guess, just gonna take a nap. Okay, that's all right. Oh, and Obi's here too, taking a nap. So I've got my little buddies here with me. So I am going to do the exact same thing as I did as I was piecing these other pieces together. So I'm going to line up my seams so they're nesting, just like that. And then I am going to stitch away. Okay, and then I do not cut. Actually, let's move the camera over a little bit so you can actually see what I'm doing here. I went ahead and did that first one. So now, and I don't cut the thread because we want to keep chain piecing, which is continuing the thread. So I'm gonna pull it out a little ways here. All right, now for our next two pieces, I want to make sure that this isn't getting all twisted, which of course it is. Oh, good. That's just what I need. So now I'm going to open my two pieces here and put them right sides together. Make sure my seams are lining up nicely and then sew. All right, and I'm just going to continue doing that.
Something's tugging at my sleeve. I do believe it's Christmas. It's cold outside, but I'm warm within.
Okay, so I got about half of my blocks made using the chain piecing. It was very annoying. I am just going to be perfectly honest. Like, it works, but it was just, I think probably my my chains were just too long and it was a little tedious. So what I did was I left, for the rest of mine, I left the rest of it, I left one half still in the chain and then the other half I cut into little pieces. So it's going to be a little bit easier to maneuver the fabrics with these being loose as opposed to both of them being stuck to other strings. It was just a little more difficult than I would like it to be. So I made it a little easier on myself. And this is an excellent example of how, with quilting techniques and things and little shortcuts and whatever that you learn from someone, it might not necessarily work for you or for the project that you're working on, and that's okay. You can modify it because there's no rules with a lot of quilting stuff. I know I talk about this pretty often on my channel. There's no hard and fast rules with chain piecing, so I've modified it to work easier for me in my situation, for my setup. Yeah, this is gonna work. So I have my chain piece chunk here and I've got my loose piece and I'm just going to put them right sides together like I was, and now I'm not having to fight two different chunks of fabric to get these pieced. And let's see how this works on a couple of them, shall we? So there, I've got those placed. I stitched forward a little bit to continue the chain, and then I'm just going to open my next one like that and take my other piece and put them right sides together. I can already tell this is going to be a lot easier. I am not really sure why it was being so difficult with the two, but it felt very restricted with what I could do. So just having half of them cut and half of them still on a chain, this is working really well for me. So yeah, that's an option. You can play around with a technique that you learn. You don't have to do it exactly how whoever you learned from did it. I am gonna continue piecing these and then we will see what to do next.
'Cause Christmas time is here.
I've got all the blocks pieced. You can't even tell, right? So now I'm just gonna go through and I'm gonna cut the 2 strings holding them together. Get my little scissors. Actually, I'm gonna use my little spring-loaded ones because it's a little bit easier on my thumb. So I'm just gonna snip, snip. There's a block. Pretty cool, right? Gotta wear a Snoopy shirt at some point during Christmas time, right? So we've got my strings and I'm just gonna snip those. And there's a block. I'm just gonna keep doing that all the way down the line here. So yeah, like I said, it's totally up to you if you want to try to modify something that you learn. Even if it's something from me, you can totally modify it. Or if you just plain don't like something that you learned from somebody, it doesn't work for you, or you can't figure it out on your own, that's okay. Because that's kind of one of the fun parts about quilting is, you know, the exploration and kind of the testing things out. It's all part of the fun of quilting. Make sure you're not cutting the fabric, of course. It would be kind of a bummer if you snipped off fabric. So what is the thing that you are most looking forward to during this Christmas season? Do you have a fun get together with friends on Christmas Eve? Or are you looking forward to seeing some family members you haven't seen in a while? I would love to hear that. For me, I'm just looking forward to being able to spend some time with my family and not be working. So I'm planning on taking all of this week off. So beginning Christmas Eve, which is when this video is going up, and I'm going to be taking off that whole week just to spend time with my family and just relax some, get ready for the new year. I'm very excited about that. I'm also excited about having, you know, yummy food. That's always fun. My mom always makes my great grandma, we called her Nana. She makes Nana's brownies and they are so good. They're kind of fudgy in the middle. They're super yummy. We have no idea if my Nana actually came up with the recipe or if it's literally the brownie recipe from a Betty Crocker cookbook, but Nana made them. We don't know, but they are delicious and they're made with love. So that's what makes them so good. So I'm looking forward to having those. I haven't had those probably since last Christmas, I think. It's kind of a one-year thing that my mom makes. So I'd love to hear what you're looking forward to Christmas. What is something that you do every year with your family, or a meal that you always make, or a special treat you always make? Let me know. We can talk about it in the comments below. All right, now we've got all of our blocks cut. So now I am just going to take these to my ironing board and I'm just going to be pressing all of the seams in one direction. That's just what I'm going to be doing, the vertical seams that we got here. So I'm just going to go do that, and then we're going to be able to piece our rows together. This quilt top's going to be done in no time at all. It's going to be done today for sure. So that is super exciting. So let's get to it. I've got all of my green and silver blocks here made and pressed. Doesn't that look lovely? So now I've got those, and I've got the red ones that I've already made also, and I am going to create my little piles because, so this is what the quilt's gonna look like. It's just gonna be red and green. So I'm just gonna make little piles of red, green, red, green, red, green, and so forth, just so I don't put too many blocks in one row or whatever, just to make the row construction a little quicker and a little easier. That is what I'm gonna work on here. So I think I'm actually gonna start with green. I think I had that planned. Green, red. And I'm just gonna put these little piles together and then sew my rows. So that's my first row, ready to go. And I will set that off to the side. So I'm just gonna continue making my little row bundles and then I will sew my rows together. I am very excited. Usually when I get to this point of a quilt where I've got all the blocks made, I just power through and get it done so I can have the quilt top done, because I get very excited and very focused on the project, you know. I will probably be finishing it today. Right now it is 3:30 on December 19th. That's what time it is right now. I'm gonna piece this all together and then probably tomorrow I will make my quilt sandwich and probably start my quilting. So I'm gonna be doing a really pretty free motion quilting design on this quilt. It's kind of my go-to Christmas free motion quilting because I think it's very whimsical and it's really cute. I'll show you how I do it. I won't do an in-depth tutorial on how to do it. We'll talk about it later when I'm actually doing the quilting. If you'd like me to do an in-depth tutorial on how to do that specific quilting, I can do that. Yeah, it just looks really cute. It's kind of like a loop-de-loop with added little stars, and there's a fly. I just really like it. It's really cute. I've done it on several quilts for Christmas time. So I'm just going to continue creating my little piles and then sew the rows together, make my rows, and then sew my rows together, make my quilt top. It's gonna be so beautiful, and then I'll probably be done for the evening. Let's get that done.
Children playing in the snow, a merry game they play, chasing each other to and from.
All right, everybody. So this is the next day. So today is December 20th. I finished making my rows last night and then I stopped working. I just was kind of ready to stop sewing for the day. So I have all of the rows sewed together. Prepare yourself. So this is what they look like. They look super cute. I love it. It looks so good. So far, so good. So now our last step for making the quilt top is sewing the rows together. So that's what I'm going to work on now. I'm just going to very slowly sew my rows together so all of my points, all my seams match up as I'm sewing. So I will point the camera down so you can actually see what I'm doing with that. We are getting there. After this, then I need to do my quilt sandwich, which I will show you how I do that. Let's get started.
Laughing all the way. Oh, what a jolly time to have the whole family here for a few days of love and grace. But when Christmas has gone, it'll be
Okay, so there we have our first 2 rows sewed together. It looks very good so far. So I'm just gonna continue this process till I have the entire quilt top made.
another year. When Christmas has gone, it actually was on a Christmas day you came my way that once upon a long ago.
All right, are you guys ready to see it? Here it is. So I'm gonna try to make it so you can see it as best I can here, but check that out. I mean, are you kidding me? Look how cool! It's beautiful! Yay! So the easy part is done now. now I need to do my least favorite step of quilting, which is pressing the seams, because when I make my quilt sandwich, I want my quilt top to be laying as flat as possible. So I need to press this really good, which it's already, all the blocks are pressed just from when I was piecing them together, but I need to press the seams between the rows, basically is what I need to do. So I will do that and get that nice and flat, and then I'll probably run my iron over my backing fabric real quick. Here's my backing fabric I got. It's really pretty. It goes perfectly with the gray of the quilt, but it's a really pretty kind of paisley floral gray fabric. I got this for $8 a yard at Hobby Lobby. I've heard some people kind of poo-poo Hobby Lobby fabric, but really this feels like good quality fabric. You can kind of tell by feeling it. Like, does it feel like it's a higher thread count than, you know, say, I don't know, cheaper fabric? You can kind of just tell. And this was originally $12 a yard, which is already a really good deal. And then they had their fabric on sale. I can't remember if it was 30 or 40% off, but that's when I bought all of my Kona solids for my quilt top. So I got all of these. I think they were either $9 or $10 a yard regular price, and they were 40% off. So it was only like $6 a yard for my Kona solids, which is a good deal. And this was, I think, about $8 a yard. So don't sleep on Hobby Lobby. They have good fabric. So, and this is 108-inch wide backing fabric. I'm not gonna have to piece my backing, which is really nice. That'll save some time. So I am going to just press everything really good, and then we get to make our quilt sandwich. I will be working on this real quick, and then I will meet you in my kitchen for some quilt basting. All right, welcome to my kitchen. So I've got my quilt top and my quilt batting all pressed and ready. Hold on, this is crooked. There we go. Anyways, I got my quilt top and backing pressed. So now it's time to make my quilt sandwich. So what I need for that is I need my batting. So I've got a giant roll of this that I'm going to use to cut out my batting for this quilt, and I'm just going to use my big Singer scissors. So I will record me doing this whole process. If you want a more in-depth tutorial of how I do this entire process of cutting my batting and gluing it to the quilt top and the quilt batting, I will leave the video where I show you how I do that in the description box below. I go in really in depth and show you how I do each step, but this is just going to be a really quick time lapse like clip of me doing all of this stuff. So let's get this all ready, and I'll meet you back in a minute.
Bethlehem star must have shown the way that led you to me. Now from
All right, so I have my quilt top just laying down on the batting, and now I just cut it. You can see off camera my family is standing in silence while I'm recording. Kimmy, are you holding that for me? Thank you. You showed up right on time. So now I'm going to put the quilt top away for now. We put that on second. I like to put the backing on the batting first. So what I'm going to do is we're first going to move Kimmy. I'm going to open up my batting. I normally do this with the dining room table. Thought it would be interesting to do it on the floor. I know a lot of people, they don't have a nice big table, so they have to do it on the floor. So I thought I'd try it out and see how it goes. So I've got my backing fabric. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the edges of the backing and the batting here. I'm going to line them up so they're all lined up on one end. I don't think you can see it on the camera, but I lined up the edges all on one end, and I'm just going to pick them up and kind of do that. Let gravity help me get them all laid out together, and then lay it down. Now we just got to smooth it out. right, I've got it pretty much all smoothed out now. Now I'm going to use my Elmer's glue for glue basting. And like I said, if you want a full in-depth tutorial on how to use this for glue basting, you can look at the link down in the description box and you will see how I do it.
My love and a little help from above. We've raised our little clan like it's part of a master plan.
Okay, so I got the batting and backing glue basted. And my goodness, doing that on the floor is way harder than doing it on a table. I feel your pain if you have to do your basting on the floor. My goodness, feels like a full body workout. I'm all sweaty. Ew. So I got it flipped over and now I am going to lay out my quilt top. As you can see, my backing and my batting are a lot larger, which is fine. I can trim it down, but I just wanted to make sure that I had plenty of both. I always cut mine pretty large compared to my quilt top just to make sure it's going to fit properly. So I'm just going to get this laid out the way that I want it to be laid out and make sure I've got plenty of give on all four sides of the quilt. That looks great. Oh, I'm so excited. This is looking so good. I'm definitely it's going to take a little more finesse than with the backing since I have so many seams I'm working with here and I really want everything to lay really flat. I'm probably going to plop down and glue this. I glue one half first and then the other half. So I will kind of record me doing this process just so you can kind of see how I do it. But I'll probably fast forward through it because probably won't do much talking because I'm going to be focused.
Still, when Christmas has gone, it'll be another year. When Christmas has gone, when Christmas has gone.
And let's move this up a little bit. So I've got some room to work with here. Kimmy, you want to hold down that side? Yeah? Or you're going to come over here and help me? Huh? Ooh, I hope my microphone picked up my knees cracking. That sounded great. Okay, so now I'm just going to unfold this till I get to where I've glued it. Well, I guess I glued a little less than half, but yeah, Kimmy, you just, you hang out there. You're actually right where I need to put glue, baby girl. I know. Life is so hard for you.
When Christmas has gone, oh, what a jolly time to have the whole family here.
Ooh, I will show you the quilting design that I'm going to do. Here is a wall hanging that I made for my mom, and this is just a panel that I bought. I think I bought it at Missouri Star Quilt Company either last year or the year before. I don't remember when I got it. So this is just the panel, so I didn't piece anything. And I just quilted it. I made it into a little quilt sandwich, and I quilted it, and I did this really pretty kind of free motion loop-de-loop. And ever so often, I do this little snowflake / star design, and it turns out really, really cute, and I think it looks beautiful. And yeah, I think it's going to look really great on this quilt. It's going to give it kind of a whimsical look to it, and I am just very, very excited to finish up this quilt with you guys. Yeah, I'm going to go cool off. I cannot believe how hot I got doing that. My goodness, it is a workout. Quilting is a lot more physically demanding than I think a lot of people realize, but I'm going to go cool off and I'll meet you back in the morning. We'll get some quilting done and we'll see how far we get. I mean, I could finish up the quilting in one day. I'm not sure,
But we'll see. We'll see how focused I can be, I guess. So see you in the morning. Bye.
Right. So today is December 22nd. It is Friday. It is 2 days before Christmas Eve, which is when I wanted to have this quilt done. And I am just now starting the quilting. So I took yesterday off. I didn't do any sewing or quilting. I went and did my last minute Christmas shopping stuff. So that was fun. It was fun to have a little day off of sewing. But now I am back and I'm ready to quilt. I'm very excited to start quilting. So I just a little bit ago showed you the quilting that I'm going to do on this quilt. So to do that, I need to get my sewing machine set up for free motion quilting. I'll also kind of show you my setup a little bit here, just to give you an idea of how I do it for free motion quilting. So I've got my, let me point the camera down a little bit here so you can see. So here's my sewing machine. Let me, whoops, bump it into stuff here. All right, so I have my sewing machine and I need to set it up for free motion quilting. Bring it around here. Oh, look at that cute little puppy dog. She's in her spot, sleeping away. All right, so to get my machine ready for free motion quilting, I lower my feed dogs with a little lever here. I'm gonna switch my stitch length to 0. And I also need to switch out my foot. So I've got my little basket full of random accessories here. I need to, whoops, move this real quick. So this is what a free motion quilting foot looks like. Make sure you can see that okay. So it's got a little circular foot here. This is also called a darning foot. Just gonna get that attached here real quick. Beautiful. They also make free motion quilting feet with a clear foot so you can see underneath the foot. There's also ones with an open toe. I just don't have those. I like this one and this one works perfect for me, so I haven't felt the need to buy another one. Probably should try one of those just to see how it compares, but I just have not taken the time because the feet for these Juki machines can be a little bit more expensive than regular sewing machine feet, since it's technically an industrial sewing machine. But it's very high quality, so I mean, I love my machine, but the accessories can be a little pricey. Put my basket back real quick. All right, so now my machine is ready. I've got my thread and my bobbin. I've got my thread here. The thread that I like to use is, this is a Coats & Clark machine quilting thread. I'm using the white, and I love this thread. I think it's a 30 weight thread, and it's great. It's not all dusty. It doesn't shred. It doesn't break. I just had really great success with this thread. If you have another thread that you like to use, then that's great. Everyone can use different threads. That's okay. If you like to use a different weight or a different brand, that's fine. But that's what I like to use. So also, very important, I have my big water cup full of water that I will be drinking throughout the day, because I have a bad habit of forgetting to drink my water when I'm super focused on a project like this, and that's not great because you need to stay hydrated for everything to work properly, right? So I've got my chair here in front of my sewing machine, obviously. I then have, let me rotate this a little bit. My ironing board is right next to me. So what I'm going to do is I have my machine right here, and then I pull my ironing board really up close next to me, and this is going to help me with some of the weight of the quilt. So while I'm quilting, some of that weight as we're moving will go onto the ironing board, just so the quilt isn't just completely hanging off the side of the table and just causing tension that I don't want to be there. That's a little trick that I figured out to do. You know, they make tables that are meant for quilting, and they have like a little L shape and stuff, and those are great, but you know, not all of us have the money or the space for something like that. So ironing board, $15 from Walmart, works perfect. So I've got my quilt here. My glue's completely dry. And I'm just going to unfold it here if I can. So with this quilting, I will show you how I do it. It'll be like a very brief little tutorial. If you want a full-blown tutorial on how to do this, I can certainly do that and do more of kind of a step-by-step thing. But I don't want this video to be ridiculously long. So this is a kind of a spin on a tutorial that I've already done, which was just a really simple loop tutorial. If you're interested in that, I will link that up in the cards and down in the description box below, where I show you how to do just a plain loop free motion quilting design. And that looks amazing too. So, but this one I'm just adding those little stars just because I think that looks so cute and I love it. It kind of looks like snowflakes or stars, like I said. So it works perfectly for a Christmas quilt. So what I do is I just kind of work in quadrants. I know a lot of quilters do that. It's nothing new that you're hearing. I just kind of, in my head, I'm not super strict about it. In my head, I just break the quilt up into 4 quadrants. So top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. I just kind of try to focus on that one area, get as much done as I can there, and then move on to the next one. And that really helps with kind of the overwhelming feeling of having to quilt an entire quilt. It also helps kind of stay focused. And when you get to the point where all the quadrants meet, you don't want to have such strict lines where you're going to see that, oh, well, they did this first part first and this second part here and then this part and then this part. So you kind of organically move the stitching up into the other quadrants as you're going and down into them. So let's get started. I'm going to move my speed down a little bit because I don't like to go super fast when I'm free motion quilting. Probably my top tips for when you are free motion quilting is have something like an ironing board next to you to kind of help with the weight of the quilt. Wear comfy clothes. You're going to be here a while. Drink your water. And get up and take breaks. I know especially when it's kind of a time crunch and you just really want to get something done, you just kind of sit there and you work and you work and you work and work. But then when you get up, it's like, whoa, I'm super stiff. Everything hurts. That's not good for your body. So I really try. I'm kind of gotta do what I preach, right? So you gotta just get up and take breaks whatever works for you. If it's every 30 minutes, do that. If you can sit for an hour and a half and then take a break, you can do that. That's important. You got to take care of yourself. So I'm going to start in my first quadrant. The first one that I'm going to work on is, I guess, the bottom right. So I'm just going to get my quilt. Let me move the camera so you can actually see what I'm doing here. All right, let's turn my machine on. And when I do free motion quilting, I always just like to start in the ditch in between seams, and I just do a few stitches forward and a few stitches back. So basically back stitch to hold those stitches in place. So that's how I like to do it. It's secure. You don't really see it on, well, you don't see it on the top because it's in the ditch, and on the back, you don't really notice it with all the busyness of the rest of the quilting. So that's what works for me. So that's what I do. So I'm just going to start here. Remember to put your foot down. Oh my goodness. If you are free motion quilting, you kind of forget that you need to lift your foot and put it down. Always make sure that your foot is down when you go to free motion quilt, because that helps the tension work properly with your machine. I have several times forgotten to put the foot down and the tension gets completely screwed up on the back of the quilt, and then you end up having to rip out all of those stitches that you did, and that's just, it's very frustrating and heartbreaking when you have to do that. So always make sure your foot is down because that helps the tension work properly. So I'm just going to do those back stitches here. All right, and now I am just going to start doing my quilting. It's very important to make sure that nothing is tense. You don't want anything pulling. You want everything to feel really loose as you go. If you have gloves and you want to use those, you can. You don't have to. Some quilters like using the gloves. They swear by them. Some don't. I like them. They do work, but my hands honestly just get really sweaty and very uncomfortable in the gloves, and I just do not like it. So I just do without, and it works fine. Let's get our first stitches here. All right, I'm gonna put in my first star. So literally what I do is, let's see, I need to get a way better camera angle here so you can actually see what I'm doing. Hopefully you can see that. Now to do the stars, all I do is I start with a straight line. Then I go back a little ways, a few stitches, and then I do horizontal line. And you want the stitches to stay together. I mean, if you have a little gappage between your stitches, that's fine, but I like to have them be a solid line. And then we do kind of a cross stitch here. Or like an X. And then the other way. There's our first snowflake. And then I go out from that area and just continue doing the loop. So just and so on, and you just keep going. So then, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. So there's the little snowflake. So you start with a straight line and go down a ways, then go up, then you do a horizontal line, and then you do an X. So stitch that way and then that way, and you always meet back in the center. And yeah, it's a great, cute little design. And I just throw these ever so often. There's no hard and fast rule of, okay, you need to do this every 3 loops or every 7 loops. Make sure you're putting in a star or nothing like that. I just kind of put one in where I feel like it looks like there should be one. And yeah, this is a very fun way to quilt. So I am just going to continue doing this. And hopefully you can see what I'm doing properly there. I will say too, when you are doing the points of the star or of the snowflake, when you're going to switch to a different direction of doing a straight line, you want to actually stop in the center of the snowflake. So that's going to help keep it looking nice and clean.
For a few days of love and grace, but when Christmas has gone.
And when you need to adjust the quilt, stop stitching. You do not want to continue the stitches slow because then it can just make it look kind of sloppy. That's what it looks like so far. Pretty cute. We've got a long way to go. So I am going to move the camera back over and continue stitching.
It'll be another year. Oh, when Christmas has gone, it'll be another
Here is a good chunk of the quilt completed. As you can see, we've got our little snowflake pieces just kind of sprinkled throughout, just wherever I felt needed one. It looks pretty cute, don't you think? And the cool part about this quilting design is you can do this with just a regular domestic sewing machine. You do not need a big fancy long arm. You don't need a big fancy quilting machine. You don't need a quilting machine with a large throat space like mine does have. You can do this with a regular domestic sewing machine and some practice, which is really cool and really exciting, especially for beginner quilters, because I know quilting, a lot of people are like, I'm not even going to attempt quilting because it's too hard. I am here to tell you that you can do it. If you put in some practice, you can do this. And I just think this looks beautiful. So you can see there's the part of the quilt that doesn't have it yet, and there's it with the quilting. See how different? It's just the quilting adds such a fun little whimsical touch to the quilt. So I'm very excited about this. It looks really cute. I've got about, it's a little less than 25% done quilting. So I've got a little less than my right quadrant finished. So, and that took about an hour and a half probably to do this. Maybe a little less than that. So it does take some time. That's why it's really important to take those breaks like we talked about earlier, so you're not getting sore and tired and stuff. Yeah, I just think it looks so fun and cute, and I just love it. All right, I'm gonna keep on quilting, and I probably I'll probably just finish the quilting and then show it to you when I'm finished. Stick around for that. I think the quilt gets the Kimmy stamp of approval. Right, Kim? All right, everybody. Are you ready to see this? I just finished the quilting on this quilt. It looks so cute. I am super excited to show you. Oh, by the way, this is the next day. So today is December 23rd. This is my last day to get this quilt done, and I got the quilting done around noon today. In total, the quilting took me about 8 hours, I would say, which was split up between the 2 days. I quilted for about 5 hours yesterday. I took breaks in between. My shoulders were tired. So I did about 5 hours quilting yesterday, and then this morning I knocked out 3 more hours and I got that finished. Let's check out how it looks, shall we? So make sure you can see it. So there's the quilt. I mean, I can't show you the entire thing just because I don't have a lot of space in here. I'll show you the entire thing when it's completely finished, like after I've trimmed and done the binding. But that's what the quilting looks like on the entire quilt. It looks so good. This quilting really adds a really fun extra layer of design to the entire quilt. It's very whimsical and perfect for a Christmas quilt. I am very, very excited about this. It turned out great. I'm so glad it turned out well, and it didn't take me too terribly long to get done. Our next step is just to trim off all the excess batting and backing fabric. So I'm going to strategically place the quilt on my cutting mat and just trim that up so it's ready for binding. For the binding, I'm just going to use this really simple dark gray fabric. I'm not going to do a full-blown tutorial on trimming the quilt, squaring it up, and making the binding and then binding the quilt. If you would like separate tutorials for that kind of stuff, or to kind of see my process more in depth, let me know and I will add that to my list of videos to make. This video is just going to be more of a watch me sew and see how we get this quilt made literally the day before Christmas Eve, because I put it off for so long. It's the way I do things. I am going to spin the camera around over by my cutting mat, and I am going to trim this up. Water break. I'll get my rotary cutter.
Something's tugging at my sleeve. I do believe it's Christmas. It's cold outside, but I'm warm within, 'cause Christmas time is here.
Okay, I have the quilt all trimmed now. All of my edges are trimmed down. We are ready for binding. So I am just gonna set this aside for right now. I've got my binding made. As you can see, I've got my ironing board plopped right next to me. I use it as my little table. I have it hold up my binding. Got that here ready, and I'm gonna get my quilt situated. I like to attach my binding to the top of the quilt first. And that's how most people do it. But if you would rather attach it to the back first, you can. You can. It's okay. The quilting police are not going to come after you. And if they do, you know what? It's kind of like, okay, well, thank you for your suggestion. But, you know, it's not that serious. Quilting isn't that serious. It really isn't. So I've got my binding. So what I do is I put the raw edges of the binding with the raw edges of the quilt. I'm sure you can see that. And I just stitch it down with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. And I use mitered corners. If you would like me to do a full tutorial on how to do mitered corners, they're really not that hard. I remember when I was first learning how to quilt, mitered corners seemed so complicated, and any tutorial that I tried to find was so complicated, and I just, oh my goodness, it was so hard. It took me several quilts to get mitered corners figured out. But now that I have it figured out, it's really not that complicated. I don't really understand why some people were making it seem so complicated, because it really isn't. It's quite easy. I like to machine bind my quilt. A lot of quilters like to hand quilt. That's awesome. I don't have, well, today I don't have the time for that. And I just haven't learned how to do hand quilting techniques yet. That's something that I am going to really try to do in 2024. So maybe I'll be doing some of that later on, and I'll show you my process of doing that when I do figure it out. But right now I'm just using my handy dandy sewing machine, and it works great. Excuse me, I just ate lunch, so I'm a little burpy. Excuse me. All right, so we've got my sewing machine is all ready, so I'm just gonna sew away. Like I said, if you want me to do a tutorial on how I do mitered corners, let me know, and I will add that to my list of videos to make for next year, because that's really a technique that I think everybody should know how to do, and it's so easy and actually very fun. A lot of people don't enjoy binding a quilt, and it is one of my favorite steps. Number one, I just like the techniques that are used, and I just like the process. And number two, it is the final step. It's the final step to getting your quilt finished. And it just feels so good when it's finished and it looks great. It's concealing all those raw edges, and yeah, I personally enjoy binding a quilt. So I'll do a little time-lapsey thing of me binding, and then the grand reveal. So thank you so much for watching till this point of the video. Hopefully it's not too much longer. Hopefully I don't keep blabbing on, but we'll see. I might be talkative later. So let's get this done.
Children playing in the snow, a merry game they play.
All right, guys, are you ready to see the finished Christmas version of the Tiny Checkers quilt pattern? I don't think you're ready, but I'm going to show you anyways. So, just finished the binding, and here is our nice, cozy Christmas quilt. How cute is that? I love the look of a dark binding on a quilt. I think it just kind of finishes it and makes kind of like a dark border all the way around. And this looks this looks so cozy. I just love it. And look at that quilting. Isn't that so beautiful? I just love this. So thank you so much for joining me on this slightly different adventure. I don't know if I'll do other videos like this. If you liked this, where I just kind of went through the process of making something, let me know. And just thank you so much for watching this video. Oh my goodness, this turned out so nice, and it's so cozy, and it's like it is a huge throw. I am just under 5'9", and I've got it wrapped around me, and it's still draping on the floor a couple of inches. So it's a nice big cozy throw, perfect for cuddling and watching Christmas movies and just staying nice and cozy during the winter months, because unfortunately winter does come every year and we do have to live through it. So just thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to give it a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you would like to come along with me on this quilting journey. I've got so many cool things planned for 2024. I hope you all have a wonderful Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, wonderful holidays, whatever you are doing. Happy New Year. I will be back after the New Year with some more videos. And now, well, actually, now I have to go edit this video and get that completely done, uploaded to YouTube, and then I get to relax for like a full week. So that's going to be very nice. Nice family time and relaxing, getting ready for the new year. Very excited. I love the new year. It always feels like a fresh beginning, new beginning for a fun-filled year. So I will talk to you guys very soon. Thank you again so much for watching till the end of this video. My goodness, you stuck around a long time. And just have a wonderful holiday season. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Chasing each other to and fro, laughing all the way. Oh, what a jolly time to have the whole family here.